On the bridge of Qasr al-Nil, protesters once again made their way to Tahrir Square. It seemed for most it was a day out for family and friends. On Wednesday, General Fattah al-Sisi called for Egyptians to once again go down on the streets to give him a mandate to confront any terrorism in Egypt. Thousands were overjoyed to come out and readily show their support for the army. A celebratory mood took over the square. Demonstrators carried posters of General al-Sisi as many others rushed to take photos with the soldiers, thanking them for standing by the people. The army had polished its image since the uprising in 2011, though once again seen as the saviour and the protector of the people's will. While close to the presidential palace, army helicopters spent the day flying low near to the cheering crowds, releasing national flags onto the demonstrations below. Even in the middle of Ramadan, thousands of protesters took to the streets of Egypt, each to show their support for their political affiliation. But this time, the reason it's different is that these demonstrations were not called for by the Muslim Brotherhood or their opposition, but rather by the army, in an attempt to show that ultimately popular legitimacy lies with them. But although many protesters expressed their support to the army, they say they would instantly refuse a military rule.
ما فيش حكم عسكري لغايه دلوقتي مفيش حكم عسكري وان شاء الله مفيش حكم عسكري والمبادرات كلها والمؤشرات ما بتقولش ان حكم عسكري حكم عسكري يحكم بالايد ويموت ناس ويعتقل الناس هو ما اعتقلش حد غير الخونه والارهابيين واللي حرضوا على القتل انما الراجل مدينا حريتنا وبيقول احكموا انتوا ده مش حكم عسكري ولا انقلاب عسكري.
Here, a strong sense of intolerance towards the Muslim Brotherhood was evident. They were seen as terrorists, the party responsible for pushing Egypt into further economic depression and sectarianism. Banners that read "No to Terrorism" was largely a message aimed at the Muslim Brotherhood.
علشان الإرهاب، عشان الدم اللي بيعملوه، عشان الظلم اللي هم ماشيين بيه والعنف بيموت. انت مالك بشيعي ولا مسلم ولا يهودي؟ انت اديني المعامله اللي هيحاسب الكل هو الله.
But in Rab al-Adawiyya, where nearly a 3-week sit-in by the Muslim Brotherhood supporters is still being held, protesters here were frustrated. They were angry at the lack of local media presence and angry to be labelled as terrorists.
ما فيش حاجة اسمها انقلاب عسكري وما فيش احنا مش ارهاب، احنا مش ارهاب يا سيسي يا عميل، احنا اخواتك مصريين واحنا بندافع عن الشرعية وندافع عن حقنا.
Calls for protests such as this one will remain not only to continue to disrupt any return to normality for Egyptians, but will also increase political polarisation of the country. Any sign of stability seems far off for now. HArraz, TVC News, Cairo.